Welcome to Study Loop.
So this question asks us to find the Lewis structure and overall charge of a couple of molecules. We'll start with our OCS. So to begin, we'll find the valency of each atom. So oxygen is going to give us 6 electrons. Carbon will give us 4 electrons. And sulfur will give us 6 electrons. So overall, that is 6 plus 4 plus 6 gives us 16 electrons. So we'll go ahead and write the molecule in the order they gave us, with O with a bond to C with a bond to S. Now, since we're trying to make the lowest formal charge on each atom, we will go ahead and throw in an extra bond to the oxygen and sulfur, since we know that they usually like to have 2 bonds to maintain their 6 electron state. We can see that carbon already has its octet full now with the double bonds to each other atom, so we'll fill the octets of oxygen and sulfur with 2 lone pairs each and see if that gets us to our total electrons. So we have 4 bonds, which is 4 times 2 electrons each is 8 electrons. We also have 4 lone pairs total times 2 electrons will give us 8 electrons total. We have our 8 plus 8 is 16 electrons total, which is where we started. We can also make sure we have our formal charges at 0 correct. We can see that we have one electron from each bond for oxygen, so that's 2, plus our 2 lone pairs is 4 more. We have 6. That is a 0 formal charge. Carbon has one electron from each bond, which is 4 electrons total. And sulfur has 1 electron from each bond and 4 more from the lone pairs, which is 6 total. So there are no formal charges on the atoms, meaning it's a neutral atom. So that is our Lewis structure, and it is neutral. So the next structure we have is NO. So to begin, we'll count the valency. Nitrogen is going to give us 5 electrons, and oxygen is going to give us 6. We can see right away this is an odd number, so we will definitely need a charge somewhere. We have a total of 11 electrons. So we'll begin by drawing our NO with a bond. We'll go ahead and draw a second bond to try to make the oxygen happy because it's easier to make happy with 2 bonds. Now we can draw in the extra lone pairs on oxygen to try to have as few formal charges as possible. So we've used 2 bonds times 2 electrons equals 4 electrons total. We've used 2 lone pairs times 2 electrons is 4 electrons total. So I've used 8 electrons from our 4 plus 4, meaning we have 3 electrons left from our 11 minus 8 equals 3 electrons. So we have 3 left. We can put those onto our nitrogen, except we can't leave a single electron alone by itself. So what we'll do instead is take off that single electron and take off a lone pair from oxygen to put in another bond. When we do that, oxygen still has its full octet of 3 bonds and a lone pair, meaning it is full, but it's not happy. It only has 5 electrons when it wants 6, meaning it has a positive charge. This positive charge means that in the overall electron system, we actually lose an electron. So our 5 plus 6 we started with will actually lose an electron, minus 1, meaning we have 10 electrons total in the system. So now we count them up. We have 2 on nitrogen and 2 on oxygen. That's 4 total, 4 from lone pairs. And we have 3 bonds times 2 electrons will give us 6 electrons total. 4 plus 6 is 10. So we have our total electrons. This is our Lewis structure with a formal charge of +1. +1 charge.